Morning, Doomfish here. Just having a quick look back at some of my CDs in my collection, and we've got this Boards of Canada Tomorrow's Harvest on the Warp label. Very fond of Warp label. I used to live in Sheffield. I remember the Warp record shop on Division Street, but it's now, I think it's an O2 shop now. I don't live in Sheffield anymore. But yeah, got some fond memories of Warp records. I've always been into Warp records. I've got many CDs of theirs. A lot of music from them I'm into. Yeah, they just hit the spot for me, Warp Records. Boards of Canada there, very legendary in their own little way, or big way. And this is, 2013 release, so it's been out a while. Now the thing with Boards of Canada is if you pop one of their music CDs in your player there, start spinning it, it does seem very alien, and sometimes it's quite hard to get to grasp with their music. When you open up the CD sleeve, you've just got a little pamphlet inside, just very arty pictures of dead landscapes, very end of the world. Some of the music in here does remind me of Day of the Dead from 1986, George Romero's Day of the Dead. If you've seen that film, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And I've always thought, if you imagine David Lynch making Dune again, I think this album will be the perfect soundtrack to this. I've always thought that listening to this. Always nice to listen to late at night as you're cranking down before you go to bed. Spin this CD. Brilliant. Now the music is quite dark. It seems to be, from listening to it, it's made on old analog synthesizers which have got that special sound. So when you do listen to any of their albums, it feels like you've heard it before and in the distant past. It always reminds you of being like a child in the 70s on some of the synths that they use, which is like a very strange feeling. But this particular album, very apocalyptic in its feel. As you can see on the album cover there, it's like desert and there's like a cityscape, almost like The Walking Dead type of thing. So it looks like a place where something obviously has gone wrong, and that's the kind of feel to this. It does feel very 80s on some of the tracks there, very John Carpenter. So when you do listen to it, you do feel like you're watching a VHS, like an old 80s VHS film from the 80s, and it just hits a spot there. As I was saying earlier, it can be quite complex to get into them. You'll listen to it, you'll hear some tracks you really like, but some of the tracks you think, what the hell? But the weird thing about Boards of Canada is if you keep listening, it's like seeing a locked door in front of you. If you keep listening, then all of a sudden the key appears in front of your eyes, and then you can obviously unlock its delights of audio pleasure, I'd probably say. So yeah, very good album. This is the hardest one to get into, I think. This feels more sparse than the other albums out there with theirs. I've got all their albums, by the way, so I've been into these guys for a while now, and there's always excitement when Boards of Canada does release an album. But yeah, I'm going to give this, I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's one of them albums you keep going back to. A couple of tracks I like. The best ones, I think, are Sick Times and Palace Posey. I think they're the best ones. They hit the spot for me. Very apocalyptic in its feel. It does feel end of the world. And there's a track right at the end. I don't know if you've read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. As you might remember, right at the end of that story, as he's about to go back home, he kind of decides to go forward in time as far as he can. He's very curious to see what planet Earth is like, and he goes as far as he can, and he appears when he kind of lands in the distant future. He kind of lands in a desert, very apocalyptic, and it's just like sandstorms blowing. There's no humanity there. There's nothing apart from big massive crabs lumbering around, and that's all that's left of planet Earth in the story, of course. And the very last track on here does remind me of that, so give that a listen. And if you've read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, you'll probably see what I mean, but it's got that apocalyptic feel to it. Very good. But that's my little review of Boards of Canada Tomorrow's Harvest. yeah, worth a listen, worth putting in your collection. Unique music at its best. Thanks for listening.